So my name is Jessie Gollum. I am a Hamilton-based freelance photographer. I work at Photographers Without Borders, and I am a recipient of basic income through the Ontario Basic Income Pilot Project. Before basic income, I was working 4 jobs. It was a very exhausting and stressful existence. I'd be up in the morning, walking dogs all morning, and then in the afternoon and late into the night, I'd be teaching piano all night. So it was just very, I didn't really have any free time. And in between that, I was furiously working to build my photography business and trying to market and try to meet up with clients and set up photo shoots. And I was also working at Photographers Without Borders. It was a very, very exhausting existence, and I never really felt like I had free time. I barely had time to come home and make myself dinner, let alone do all of the other things that I was doing with my life. It was going towards, it still barely covered my costs for living.
In Hamilton, there was about 1,000 people, so there were 4,000 overall, spread out over 4 communities. Hamilton was one of them, and 1,000 people in Hamilton got benefit from the program itself directly.
It impacted in a positive way because it really bought me time. So I was able to drop down from 4 jobs to 2 jobs, put all my energy into Photographers Without Borders, put all my energy into my freelance photography business, and I was seeing my business growing. It was working, and I was actually able to make a very steady amount of money off of it, which was amazing. And basic income bought me that time to do so.
The belief is that a basic income will provide people a more stable, standardized opportunity to stabilize their lives and reduce some costs in the system overall.
When you look at the cost of poverty in the province of Ontario, it is $32 to $38 billion a year. $32 to $38 billion a year is the cost of poverty.
Certainly one of the areas that I've been doing my research over the last 8 or 9 years is on the whole issue of precarious employment and the increasing insecurity of work that people face. And what we're showing is that it has a lot of health implications, both physical health but also mental health, the stress of not knowing if you're going to have a job.
For many folks, that means not eating in food banks, right? The ability to still go to work and knowing that it's precarious or part-time, that they still can pay their rent at the end of the month and still be able to afford food.
It just is a process to get there. You can't get there overnight. And then the other jobs also don't really pay a living wage, and both of them were contract work. So it's quite precarious employment. I didn't have any protection, any pension building or healthcare or benefits or anything, and those contracts could be erased at a moment's notice. So it was pretty precarious work, so it barely covered my living expenses.
The Liberals presided over a disjointed, patchwork system proposing handouts that actually do little, if anything, to help break the cycle of poverty. It was, and it is, an approach that we cannot, in good conscience, allow to continue.
It's very easy to feel powerless in that and feel Doug Ford did that and there's nothing I can do to stand up against him. He's so big and strong. But I'm no, I want to give people power. And a good way to give people power is giving them a voice, and giving them a voice that will be heard.
And when it started to crumble and to fall apart, Jessie took her talent and her gift as a photographer to be able to capture people's lives who were on basic income.
It was a no-brainer for me that it had to be photography. It had to be some sort of medium that is easy for people to connect with and communicate with. I found the signs sort of to be a symbol of poverty. Like, because I thought, like, I don't want to stereotype, but it made me think of like people on the streets who are holding signs asking for money. So I wanted that aesthetic, and I also wanted it to be handwritten because I wanted the people to tell their stories in their own words, in their own writing. It sort of puts a human face to this political issue. So we're not talking about 4,000 people and it costing this much money per year, and we're bringing it down to a human level and saying that woman right there used it to work to move into better housing. That mother right there is feeding her children with it. You kind of put a face to it, and if you put a face to it, it makes it that much harder to be unsympathetic. These are the heroes, and we're amplifying their voices. We're not telling their story for them. We're amplifying their voices and giving them the platform to tell their story. So that, I see it every day in my line of work. That's what I do for a living.
It took a year to get the program up and running, and then within 3 months of the program actually being in place, it was canceled by the new current government, and has left people unaware of what their future looks like.
It's a limited time, amount of research. It just doesn't give you the kind of fulsome opportunity to see from beginning to end how that has improved someone's life. You can't really prove that in a year. It takes people that long just to turn the corner.
When they made the announcement, they made no direct communication with any of the basic income recipients whatsoever. Like, no warning, no letter in the mail, no email, nothing.
And so, I think the testimonials indicate that there was success in the program. And certainly the evidence at the end of the day over the 3-year time frame gathered by some important educational institutions would have been of great benefit to determine whether it is or is not a cost saving overall.
And so one of the questions of the evaluation is, would the basic income help people do exactly this? Would it give them the stability that they could get their lives on a more a stable foundation, maybe have less mental health problems, better physical health, and then perhaps make them more employable so that they can actually get on a career track and have a better standard of living? Again, we don't know if that's going to be true or not.
I think the unfortunate part is we'll never know what the research behind it would have provided in terms of how great a benefit it was for them and how much of a savings it was in the system overall.
One of my personal mandates in how I live my life and how I've always believed I should live my life is I want to build a better world. And that's, I try to think about that and encompass that in all of the work that I do. Build a better world in any way that I can.